Okay. Was anyone expecting them to have guns on pretty much all staff members, besides like clerks and anyone patrolling the halls had a gun? Was anyone expecting that?
No, not really. I think it's kind of weird too because it's no, you don't want to keep that rolled up. I think it's kind of weird too because some of them had 9mm, some of them had 45s. That's a lot of stopping power for a security guard.
It's probably one of those things where because it's a security guard and it's, you know, they're not official law enforcement, it's probably it might be their own personal firearms.
That's true.
And so there's not necessarily any like standardized, you know, maybe it's BYOG, I don't know.
Those are the best parties to come to.
Bring your own gun.
Bring in the fucking like Desert Eagle or something, you know.
I mean, and they had a K9 unit. What?
Yeah, and it wasn't like a regular K9 dog that you use as like police dogs. It was a black lab, and a young black lab at that.
Oh, really?
No,
yeah.
Sniffing for bombs or
drugs. Do you think they had the power to arrest us? I mean, they had this like official emblem and everything. Did they like apply for some sort of like own jurisdiction of some sort. That's not like completely sovereign or anything.
I noticed that too. That their uniforms, they were made to look like state troopers. So on first glance, you think that they're like official, but they're glorified rent-a-cops. And I don't know what the law is in Kentucky. You know what exactly their authority actually is. But I mean, it seems like they went out of their way to sort of resemble as much as possible real cops, and you actually have to read their uniforms to see that they weren't just regular security guards that might have like, you know, black pants and a shirt that says security on the back or something like that.
Why would they, like, if you were a Christian going to this, let's just pretend they didn't harass us a bunch of times, would you have found that still strange that there was just a bunch of guys walking around with guns all the time?
Well, here's my thought. I think what they're thinking in their head is they don't want any of those crazy atheists or Muslims or anybody like that coming in and causing trouble, you know?
I don't know. I was never a Christian, so I have no idea. I'm not uncomfortable around guns, but I grew up around guns. I grew up in the country. I grew up hunting. I grew up target practice.
I don't know what the law is in Kentucky, you know, what exactly their authority actually is, but I mean, it seems like they went out of their way to sort of resemble as much as possible real cops, and you actually have to read their uniforms to see that they weren't just regular security guards that might have like, you know, black pants and a shirt that says security on the back or something like that.
Why would they, like, if you were a Christian going to this, let's just pretend they didn't harass us a bunch of times, would you have found that still strange that there was just a bunch of guys walking around with guns all the time?
Well, here's my thought. I think what they're thinking in their head is they don't want any of those crazy atheists or Muslims or anybody like that coming in and causing trouble, you know?
I don't know. I was never a Christian, so I have no idea. I'm not uncomfortable around guns, but I grew up around guns. I grew up in the country. I grew up hunting. I grew up target practice. But seeing people with handguns are different. I grew up around rifles and shotguns.
Yeah, so did I.
Handguns are only used for one thing, and that is shooting people.
Yeah.
Now, granted, my views on gun control are when guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns, and I think you should have the right to carry or right to own a handgun. I don't think they should be illegalized, but you're in a creation museum. What's the justification for having every single guard have a firearm anywhere between a 9mm and a 45?
I honestly think that they fear some sort of violent incident. I mean,
why would they fear that though?
That didn't seem to be.
Well, there have been a few shootings in churches, but I mean,
that's usually religious people shooting less religious people.
That's a good point. I thought about that. We're gonna get off of this segment here.
All right.
But the thing with me is that it's one of the rare instances in my life, being a white male as I am, where I really felt like I was under fucking constant... I mean, maybe it was partly my own paranoia because I was hanging around with a bunch of people who were like, you know, being sarcastic about everything. But even when we were like, none of us were talking, I still felt like they were sizing us up. They were sizing everybody who came up, or everybody who came in. They were sizing everybody up, and they just sort of like, I don't know, sensed that we weren't, you know, just by maybe our demeanor or whatever, our body language, that we weren't one of them, and then from there on out, that we were just viewed with this constant suspicion, and this, you know, like there was just this general sense of like oppression, and you know, like they're just waiting for any provocation to kick us out, and when they came into the theater and told us not to videotape.
And took my footage.
And you deleted the footage. They had an armed guard with them.
And the K-9 unit. No, they had three. All three of them. All three of them were armed.
I wasn't really paying attention because I was hoping that they weren't going to come mess with me, because I had filmed a little bit of it, and then I just like instinctively just like deleted it. But because because I have you know, a video, a thing that looks like a still camera, so they probably just didn't really realize that this takes video as well. But I didn't see all the cops, but I mean, like, usually in a museum, it's just like a curator or somebody will just say, hey, can you not take video? They don't come with, you know, fucking 3 armed guards and a dog. Like, it just seemed like they're very... At any instant, they're for any provocation, they're looking to kick somebody out, you know, and it's just like this.
And they were very intimidating. It felt like they were just doing it. The guy comes in, all right, guy, turn off.
Yeah.
I completely agree. It was, and the way they did it was like, and we're watching, we're here. Holy shit! There was no, excuse me, we're here, please. They just walked right up, and they were right on top of us.
I wonder what it was about us that triggered, that maybe they overheard something we said, maybe it was, again, our body language or something, but it was like, I couldn't imagine them behaving like that to Joe and Sally Christian. You know what I mean?
Well,
when we got... Like, they were very, like, standoffish and, you know, like, intentionally trying to intimidate us. Like, I couldn't imagine them treating, like, you know, Pastor Bob in his youth group that way. You know? It's just...
When we first walked in there, they asked us, where are you from? And, like, oh, we're just a bunch of friends, and we're coming from Columbus. We didn't say we're a bunch of friends from a church, or we're a bunch of friends from we didn't mention anything explicitly Christian, and we also are just a bunch of guys doing this. You know, it made
us thought we were from the Pride rally.
Oh shit! I didn't even think about that. All right,
here come the fags coming to the Creation Museum. Gotta keep an eye on these people.
To be continued.
I gotta go, pig. I'll see you later.